Hello, welcome back. I wanted to share another story from my own childhood, um, give you guys some more time to send in your stories and get these stories off my chest. Um, so here's a story about a time when I was probably somewhere between 10 and 12. And at this time in my life, I was um, just starting to take an interest in spooky stories myself. Uh, I had a very early foray into the paranormal, as far as like paranormal stories goes, when I read a copy of Amityville Horror, and I was probably 7 or 8, and I read this Amityville Horror, the book, and I scared myself out of my mind, but I couldn't tell my parents that I was scared. I had to pretend I wasn't scared because my parents did not know that I had read Amityville Horror. I think I read it at a library or something. Um, because I used to go to the library all the time. I would walk or ride my bike down to the library and I would just read anything I could get my hands on. I've always loved reading. Uh, and this was kind of before computers were really mainstream, so going online was not something that I really did. But a few years later, computers were a little bit more mainstream, and I had my first, well, our family had a computer. I didn't have my own personal computer yet, but my family had a computer. So I was using the computer and I was reading ghost stories on the computer. Again, this was a few years later. I didn't touch anything horror related for several years after my initial foray with Amityville Horror. It scared me crazy. And I couldn't tell anybody that I was scared, like I said. But then a few years later, like 4 or 5 years later, I'm sitting at the computer and I'm reading ghost stories on this website. I don't remember what it was called, but it was something ghost stories. And I was reading ghost stories, and then I decided at one point that I wanted to go for a walk. So I went upstairs. My dad was there. I told him I wanted to go for a walk, and he said, "You know what? I want to go for a walk as well." So we got our dog, my dog Jordan. She was a Beagle Labrador mix, and put her on the leash, and we went out. And it was a bright, sunshiny day, beautiful day, probably um, late spring, early summer. Actually, you know what? It probably was summer. Um, because I think that the reason why I was lazily sitting there reading ghost stories was because I actually was off of school. So, um, so I think it was summer break, but I don't really remember. It was either late spring or early summer. So, um, and it was a beautiful day. You could see just for miles. If you've ever been to Vancouver, Washington, this is one of the most beautiful places to live. So I was kind of, just enjoying this walk in the sunshine, green, with my dog and my dad, and we went to this park, and it was a park that we've been to many times before that, and I love this park. Um, and we went there and we called it the Green Park. It's like a playground, and then on the bottom of this hill, is the is a dirt track. that I used to like to go to and jog and ride bikes and everything. And then right there is the Vancouver School of Arts and Academics, is actually kind of the parking lot for that is sort of adjacent to the play structure. And then there's a tire swing, and then there's a hill, and then there's the dirt track, like race track, jogging track. And then there's a chain link fence, and then there's Main Street right there. So that's kind of the layout of this. If you've never been to Vancouver, Washington, it doesn't really matter that much to the story. Um, but but for those of you who know what I'm talking about, you'll know what park I'm talking about. But beautiful park. I love it there. I love to walk by there with my dog Gabriella to this day. I've taken my wife there, but and I love to kind of sit in the park benches there. But this particular time, I went there and there was nobody there, totally empty. Except down on the running track, there was a woman jogging. But other than that, my dad and I were alone in this park. And I went on the tire swing. And I started swinging around on the tire swing really fast. And I think my dad was even pushing me. And then off on the other side of the park, near the park entrance, I could see this man enter the park. Kind of like a tall, I guess, outline of him, a silhouette kind of thing. I couldn't see any features, but I figured that it was just because I was going around really fast on this tire swing that I couldn't see any features. But it starts getting closer and closer. And there was something a little bit unsettling about this person coming up to us, but I didn't really care because, I'm just having fun and I'm just assuming that it's a person. But I noted that it was starting to create like a knot in my stomach. Okay. But I'm just kind of pushing the idea out of my head because, like, what, what would be the cause of there being a problem? It's just some guy, right? So he starts getting closer and closer, and um, then all of a sudden he's like right up to like very close, like this kind of thing, right up to the tire swing. And when I swung up, I'm basically like looking up at his face. Like if he's if he's kind of where you are, I'm like under him like that, or like maybe if you're where I am, he's like kind of over me like this, to where like when I'm swinging upward, I really at this point should be seeing features on his face. He's that close. He's right there, and I still couldn't make out any features, and he was kind of blurry, but I mean the blurriness is probably because I was just on a tire swing going around. So I just stopped. I put my legs down and sort of skidded along the ground to skid to a halt, and I called my dad and he grabbed the tire swing to help me stop. And I was going to ask this guy if there was something he needed. Why is he coming right up to the tire swing with me on it? Um, and there was nobody there. Just nothing. So I'm looking around and there's still nobody in this park except for a woman down on the track. And I said to my dad, "Did you see that guy just walk up to the tire swing?" And my dad goes, "What guy?" Um, So I got really freaked out and I said, I think I want to go home. And my dad and I went home. And then I never spoke about this to him or to my mom or to anybody really until many years later when I was married to my wife, Stella. Um, I told her this story and I took her to that park. We went to the Dairy Queen, got some ice cream, and then walked up to this particular park. And we sat at the park eating our ice cream. And I told her this story. And then we said a prayer over the tire swing. Uh, so that's that. I saw a shadow person at the park. And so now I'm a horror writer, right? Like, so all of that is to say, if you guys have any spooky stories, any spooky ghost stories that you'd like to share, email them to me or write them in the comments down below. You can email me at hugheskevin117@gmail.com. I'm Kevin J.N. Hughes, author of The Undamned, and make sure you like this video, share with your friends who love spooky stuff, and also make sure that you follow or subscribe, depending on what platform you're watching this on, so that you can be updated on when The Undamned is released and you can get to know Kostin Gefencu, the greatest vampire hunter of all time. God bless you guys.